Let me turn that on. I am here in Colorado Springs. I am watching my monitor over here. I'm going to type in something here. It says, say hello when you arrive. If you want to put a comment in, just say your name and where you're watching from or participating from, so that I can recognize you and see your questions. So we already have John Sullivan, and it says, Tim, you are muted. My microphone shows that it is on. Ooh, let me see if somebody in my building can confirm that I am on. Okay, Carlos says I'm good. So maybe John, okay, he can hear me now. Good, thank you, John, for confirming that. Big news today. We have officially, as of about a couple hours ago, released the Launch Visualizer as a product. And Brendan says we can hear you. Good. So what does that mean? It's a product. So let me turn on my desktop camera here. So what is the Launch Visualizer? So if you have never seen it before, if this is your first time, let me open up a new window here. And you just go to the website rocksim.com and just type that into your URL bar up at the top of your web browser and hit that, and it will automatically launch the Launch Visualizer. And here I am. I'm in the Launch Visualizer. So now, this is live, and we've been live since last summer, early last summer, I think, when we allowed people to start playing with it. But now it's official, and we're now no longer in beta. Beta is trying to find the bugs and getting everything, all the kinks worked out, and we're out of beta. So if you have used it before, the big thing that you will notice is that your account was deleted. When we came out of beta, the first thing we did is erased all the accounts so that everything is starting with a fresh, clean slate. So if you're coming here for the first time, and if you used it previously, your account is gone. You got to re-log in. So I'm already logged in. Let me log out and I'll show you what it looks like. So when you come to the screen, you're going to see this. Oops, I clicked on the wrong button. This button. Go to the main page. So this is the main page. So when you come here, this is what you're going to get. But when you try to do anything, you're going to have all these lock icons, because for the trial, the free trial, a lot of things are locked. But if then you click on one of them, it will ask you to log in. And if you've never used it before, you can create a new account down here, right at the very bottom in the red. It says create a new account. That's where you're going to click. But there's other ways you can create an account. The caveat is once you use one method, you can't switch to a different method. So you could use Facebook, you can use Google, you can use your Apogee website account, or you can just create an account. So there's 4 different ways. But from here on out, whatever your method you choose, the next time you come here, you got to log in the same way. Otherwise, it won't find you, because it's for privacy issues. We got to allow only one way of logging in. So that's the way I created. Create a new account, but you can also use your Apogee account. What does that mean, using your Apogee account? That means if you've ever bought anything on the Apogee website, and you had to fill in your name and address and all that in your email, you've created an account. So you can use that information to log in to this RockSim visualizer. So I've already created an account. So if I click on here and select my email and sign in, this is where I would come to. So in the launch visualizer, now we can start running simulations. And my account was wiped too. So I'm just like you. I had all these designs saved in there. They're gone. So I got nothing. So that's the big news for today. And we are so excited because now we can finally start encouraging people to use it more than we have in the past. I've been pushing it here in RockSim Live because you guys are the hardcore. If you're watching this, you already know about RockSim, and you probably are familiar with the launch visualizer. But now for all of our other customers that probably haven't bought anything from us for 6 to 8 months, they probably haven't heard about it yet. So we're going to start notifying those people. And we do have an introductory offer going on if you want to create an account now. When we started this thing, I said we're going to have an account for $3 a month. And I am keeping my word on that, despite the rise in inflation. So for at least the next 30 days, that introductory offer is going to be there. So when you want to create an account and become a premium member, and you'll notice it, because if you're just a regular logged in user, you're still going to have some lock icons on the screen. And I don't have any because I'm a premium member, and you'll see that it says right here, user type premium. Obviously, because I paid for it, I've already paid for my premium membership. So there's 3 levels of memberships. The free trial, which you don't have to log in, but a lot of things are locked. Then there's the basic membership, which is also free. And a lot of things are available, like you can upload designs, upload your RockSim files into the server so you can run those as well. But then there's still a few things that are locked, like high power motors. So if you want to fly an H motor or higher, you got to be a premium member. So that's kind of where we're going to make our money, is selling premium memberships for people that want to fly those high power rockets and to see where their rockets are going to land. So let me go back over here. We have MOB Rockets says, yes, we can hear you. We have Louis Van Zweden says, good evening. He is from the Netherlands. So now that's our second person from the Netherlands. Usually Johan shows up, and he's also from the Netherlands. You guys have to create a club over there, because in the launch visualizer, we don't have any launch sites in the Netherlands. So I need you guys to create a club so that I can put it in the launch visualizer. And we did get one question from Ron via email, and he wanted to know how you put in launch sites into the launch visualizer. So I'll go ahead and show you. We also have Jerry Frank from Alberta, Canada. Jerry, I don't know if we have any Alberta launch sites. Let's take a look. So when you're in the launch visualizer, the launch sites are right here under this icon. So if you click on that, you come to this screen, which you can see, and this right here on the right side, this is the world. And I'm zooming out so you can see that, yes, this is a globe. And all of these red and blue thumbtacks are launch sites. And I'm going to rotate the Earth around, and I think we do have one launch site in Alberta. This is near Calgary. This is north of Calgary. Right there. I'm zooming in to see where this launch site is. Oh boy, it looks like it's in a subdivision. It's not a very good big one, but it definitely is. It's kind of like, it looks like a schoolyard or something. We got soccer park. Monklands Soccer Park is that launch site. So if you got a different launch site, Jerry or Frank, send me the coordinates in GPS, and it's got to be in decimals. So I need the latitude and the longitude, and then I can go here on my map and I can plug it in. So Ron said that he was with the Launch Club of SOAR. Let me open up a new browser window here. And I was there earlier today. SOAR, okay, SOAR Rocketry. So this is the Southern Area Rocketry. I'm putting in a plug for the SOAR. And let's see if we can find their launch sites. So under events, here's launch sites. And I'm going to go to their launch sites. It's a little bit slow. Come on, SOAR. Here we go. Okay. So first we have the Mill Spring Academy. And here's got a location. And it's bringing up something. It's just taking a little bit of time. Oh, we have Johan here too. Awesome. Johan, meet Lewis. He's also from the Netherlands. Okay, so we have the Mill Spring Academy. And view larger map. So if we can find this, we can put it in the launch visualizer. It really helps if I have the GPS coordinates. This right here is a code, and I think this is the Google code. I'm not sure if our launch visualizer use it. Does Google show you the latitude and longitude? Because that would really help. Save nearby, share, embed a map. Okay, here's a zip code. I'm going to copy that zip code. And then I'm going to go to the launch visualizer and see this launch visualizer here, this search bar. This is provided. The search is not like a Google search. It's provided by a company called VTS. And they haven't put in everything like Google has. But some of the website or the zip codes are in there. So we are in Milton, Georgia. And so now we got to find this academy. So I'm going to go Mill Spring Academy. Let me copy this. See that Google code? If you have that Google code, you can type it in right there in that search bar and it will just pop right up. But this is not Google. Let's see if it does or not. No. Okay, so now I've got to do a visual search. And I've got to look for landmarks here. So I got some roads here. I got these roads so I can find their launch site. Okay, so here's a big road, 140. And we have New Providence Road coming off to the side. Okay, so I'm looking for the 140 road. Okay, there's the 140 road right here. Okay, and now we're looking for, I think we're pretty close actually. I think I've seen this launch site before. I think I had it in here, but when we purged all the databases, we purged that one as well. So let me switch to the terrain here. Oops, not terrain. Yeah. Okay, so here's this golf course, and here looks like some sort of quarry, which I think is right here. Yeah, so we're pretty close. There's the golf course. I'm looking over here. Okay. Okay, so there's the site, but now where do they launch from? I think they said they launched from the baseball fields, which are right over here. So I'm going to put the launch pad right here in that baseball field. So first I got to find the baseball field in my map. There it is. I think that's it, isn't it? No, that's not a baseball field. I gotta be close. There's the golf course. Is that a baseball field? No, that's not a baseball field. That's a baseball field. But that's not the same baseball field. What am I missing here? Okay, we have John that's giving us the coordinates for the St. Louis Rocketry launch site. So we got that one. I want to just put this one in here real quick though. While I'm here, this is like right next to the quarry. Where'd that quarry go? There's the baseball field right there. Okay, so to put a launch site in, you just double click on the map right here. And you see it put a red dot. That is the launch site. So you need to confirm the launch site right here. And it confirmed it. And what that does by confirming it, it grabs the latitude and the longitude and automatically populates these conditions along with the altitude that it believes it's at. So now I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to put Southern Area Rocketry, and I'm going to give their website as well. Okay, so I copied that. Okay, so now I'm back into the Launch Visualizer and I'm going to put SOAR Rocketry. I spell it wrong. And it was the Mill Spring Academy. Okay, and we're going to do Save Launch Site. And say it automatically populated that. It populated the latitude, the longitude, and the altitude. And I'm going to put in the, I'm pretty sure this is a NAR club. Are they NAR or Tripoli? They could be both. About SOAR. NAR section 571. Okay, so their NAR section, club name SOAR, section number 571. I'm going to put their URL right there. And I don't have a contact email or description. I think they did have something. This field is private property and only can be used in conjunction with a rocket launch. So I'm going to copy that text because I want to. That's important because special notes. This field is private property. Okay, so is permission required to launch here? And the answer is yes. And then you'll do a submit. So now that website has saved, but it's saved in my personal database, not in everybody's database. So if you want other people to see it, you have to hit the Share This Launch Site button. Okay, and then you click on the button that says this, share that, and then share. And then what happens, oops, okay, this says it's got to have approval from the admin. That's what I was going to say is, what happens is it sends me personally an email, and then I have to look at the launch site and confirm it, that it is actually a real launch site, because I don't want to be launching from, the middle of a pond. And then I will click a box on my end in the admin section, and that will make it public for everybody. So hit share, and then I'm going to hit cancel. Okay, so that is, so now, like I said, it's in my personal database. So if I go to choose a launch site here, I should see it in my private database. So there's a public database and a private one. So if I go to private, there is the one that I just created. So you're going to put it in your private one, and then you're going to share your private launch sites with me so that I can make them public. So let's try the one that came in from John Sullivan. And I am going to do a copy and paste. So I copied the latitude. And let me copy the longitude. I'm doing this on two different screens here, so you're not seeing it. Oops. Ah, what happened? I got a space in there somewhere. Okay, so this looks like a pretty good launch site. Ooh, look at there. See that right there? That looks like a model airplane landing zone for model airplanes. Okay, so now the thing that I don't have is this dot. I don't know if you can see it as I move it around, but it's kind of trailing a little bit. It's because the dot's in the air. It's 808 feet in the air. So I got to move the dot. And so how do I move the dot? Well, you just double click on the screen again. So I'm going to double click here. And then I'm going to move it back to where it was, and then do confirm launch site. And as soon as I confirm launch site, watch the altitude over here. So then go bam. It didn't change it. Come on. There we go, 303 feet. All right, so that's that launch site. And he says that this is St. Louis Rocketry. So I'm doing a copy of that phrase, St. Louis Rocketry. And I better look up their website to make sure I got it right. So I'm doing a St. Louis Rocketry Association. Look at that, stlouisrocketry.com. Because I want to give you guys credit. So I'm going to copy that URL. They have an Ellsbury, Missouri high power launch site. And then they have this launch site that John just gave me. So we're going to save this launch site. And the URL for the website is here. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say St. Louis Rocketry Association. Let's see if we got any other information. Oh, I'm right there already. They say what NAR or Tripoli, and what number they are. I'm looking real quick here. About us. Okay. Information for launches. If I can't find it, I'm just going to go on. I'll just get it into my database, John. Okay, so their website needs some help. So I'm going to hit submit, and again, this goes into my personal database, and then I can share it with the world. Right here, you can see that this one is not shared. And see, this one says pending approve. And I'm going to do, let's share this one, and hit share. And again, I'm going to get a little error message until it's approved. And once it's approved, you'll see it in your list. So let's click cancel. Okay, so that is how you put in launch sites into the launch visualizer. So Johan and Louis from the Netherlands, I want to know where your launch sites are. Because if I look at my globe, if I zoom out, Oh look, that one was in there already. There was a pin right there. That's okay. I just won't approve the one that I just made. Or I'll move it. So here's the United States, and if we, come on, oh, I want to go over to Europe. Here's in the Netherlands. So yeah, I have no pins located in the Netherlands as a rocket club. So if you're a rocket club out there, I need your launch sites so that we can put them in there so that people can use them. And what's going to happen is when people see all the launch sites, they're going to say, hey, maybe I can go launch with those people. Maybe they got a high power site that I can launch with. You know, and so we're, you know, the big push this year is to try to get more launch sites for clubs to use. And, you know, and if we get more people, other people, those people that join may know of other launch sites that they launch from, but nobody else knows. And so that's how we get more launch sites. And if you get more launch sites, you get more Rocketeers, which means we get more friends, we grow the hobby, and it's a win-win situation for everybody. There's no disadvantage of having more launch sites. Jerry Frank says the Air Dairy launch site is a low power site, but we do a few others. We have launch planned February 25 near Viking Air Base. Check out Edmonton Rocketry Club for full details about this site. I'm going to do that after the RockSim Live, Jerry. But if you could, go to the launch visualizer, create an account, put your launch site in, and send it to me. Share it with me, and so that I can, you know, share it with the world. Johan is speaking Dutch, so I can't understand anything he says. Lewis and I are in the same Rocketry club, Tim, says Johan. Rick DeFossa says, I'm trying to add 1/8 inch plywood stand-up fins in RockSim, but it looks very different than what's on the website. Is there a fix for that? Okay, so that's a good question. So let's take a look at that. So he's in RockSim, so I'm going to go to RockSim now, and I'm going to close out of the launch visualizer. And close out of the St. Louis Rocketry and RockSim. Okay, so stand-up launch or stand-up fins. So first, what's he talking about? Stand-up fins. So I'm typing in stand-up fins in the search bar, and look, there's 2 stand-up fins that are available. 3 of them. One of them is balsa wood and has a fin tab. The other one is balsa wood without the tab. And then we have a third one which is made out of plywood. And so he's talking about the plywood ones, he said. So I'm going to open this up and see what it looks like. And look at there. There's dimensions right there. Those are the important things that we need. So this is a fin, and we can add that to RockSim. So first, let's go to RockSim. I'm going to push this off to the side of the screen so we can kind of still see it. And then go to RockSim, and I need to open up a design, and we're going to add in those fins. So I'm just going to, you know, in fact, I'll just start a new design. So to start a new design, typically you work across the tabs. The first one is the rocket name, and I'll just say test. I'm going to use RockSim, and then most of this other stuff you just leave it because it's already pre-filled. So I'll go to Rocket Design Components, and you're starting with a sustainer, so I'm going to add a nose cone. And this is going to be a pretty big nose cone, so I'm looking for something fairly big size. So PNC 70, which is BT 70. So you don't know that, but if you don't know, here's the diameter, 2.217 inches. So that's, you know, roughly about that big. So which is good size, so that's that size fin. So I'm going to click OK. So there's the nose cone, and it's added into RockSim. Now we're going to add a tube to that. So again, you can just, the nose cone is already highlighted, so then you can click on body tube. And I want a BT70 tube, so I'm looking for something that's that size. And I know it because I know the part numbers, but 2.2 inches right here. If you look down here, you can't see it, but 2.2165 is the diameter, so I'm looking for something close. So there is something that's close. I'll click OK, and it added the body tube. I'll just make this screen bigger here so you can see it. And I'll click OK, and now we're going to add the fin. So here's the fin off here to the side, but let's first let's see, look at the question that he says. David asks, I'm trying to add the plywood fins in RockSim, but it looks very different than what's on the website. So first, let's add that fin. Now this is a custom fin. And then the reason I know it's a custom fin is because there's four kinds of fins in RockSim. There's regular fins, which are trapezoids and ellipses. Custom fins, which can be any shape as long as it's flat. Then we have ringtails, which is a ring. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but that's a ringtail rocket called the atomizer. That's a ringtail. And then the other one is a tube fin, where instead of fins on the side, we have tubes, and the air flows through those tubes, and that acts as like a fin. So those are the four kinds. But looking at this image here, how do I know that this is a custom fin? Well, because I can tell it's not trapezoid. So imagine there's a line coming right here, and just ignore the tab. So a trapezoid would have 4 points. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So because it has 5 points, it's not a trapezoid. So this is going to have to be a custom fin. So I'm going to click on custom fins here. And what it always does is it looks in the database. And so here is the custom fin database of all the fins that are custom. And I'm looking for Apogee. And I don't think this one is in the database. And it doesn't appear because there's no Apogee other than this one up here says Dynastar. So what I'm going to do is click cancel. And let me make this screen here a little bit bigger so you can see it. So now we are in custom fins. And this doesn't look anything like that fin over here, does it? So we're going to change the shape. And first, I'm going to make this window here in the bottom larger. And if you move your mouse up and down, you'll see that the cursor changes right here in the middle. On Windows, this is a little harder to see. On a Mac, I got a little dot right there. That kind of tells me where the middle is. So if I just put my cursor right there and then click and drag, and I can drag that window bigger. That's as big as I can get it, but it's certainly better than it was earlier when it was small. And now we're going to change the shape, and for that we'll go here to plan points. We're going to click on that, and that brings up this grid right here, and you can click and drag it around and you can see the 4 points. And if you can't see all four, you can hit the down magnifying glass, and that will make it a little bit smaller so you can see more of the points. So now I need to match this shape right here. So, okay, so this point right here is 3.75 inches along the X and 3.4 inches on the Y. So 3.75. So I'm just hovering over the point, and you can see the dimensions. So this fin is not quite big enough yet. So this one, I'm going to have to move out here. So click and drag on the point. My cursor is like really big so that you can see where I'm clicking, which is why it's a little bit harder for you, because when I go over the top of it, I hide the point. So I said 3.75 and 3.4. Okay, so I'm looking at these numbers right here. So I need 3.75 and then 3.4. So I can actually go in and type in here. So I'll double click on that, and hit 3.75. Now, there's a tiny little bug right here. So see, when you click on it, it just jumps right back. You got to double click on the Y dimension. Okay, so when I double clicked on it, now I can really actually edit that number. We know about this issue, and we're going to fix it in the next version of RockSim. So now I need 3.4 inches for that point, and then hit tab, and it jumped to that point. And now this point right here is 5.68 inches back. So that's going to be this point, and that's going to be 5.68 inches. 6.8, and then this one is going to be the same, 3.4. So again, double click there, control, 3.4 inches, and hit tab. So that is that point, but then there's one last point right here, and if you can see, this one is 1.47. So I need a point right there, so I'll just click on the point. I'll just click on the graph, and it's going to add a point. And now I just need to adjust that point. So the X was, or the Y, this one here was, so I got this backwards, don't I? 1.47. I got all these backwards. So all the numbers in this column should be in this column, and the ones here should be in that column. So that is going to be 1.47, and this one is going to be 5.68. 5.68. No, I did have it right. 1.47, 5.68. Okay, so that does look like that fin, except for this point right there. That point is, it's off the side of my screen, exactly 4 inches. So this point right here should be at 4 inches, not 4.44. 4.0. Boom. So that's the fin. This one actually has a tab. So if you wanted to put that tab on there, what you would do is you'd go to the through the wall fin mount. So that's this tab right here. You click on that, and our tab is 3.0 inches, and it's 0.82 inches deep. So the length is 3 inches, and the depth is 0.88 inches. And you can see it put it onto the fin right here. Let me change the color to make it a little easier to see. You got this pink color. Let's make it a deep red color, so now you can see it. You can see that there's a gap right here. That's the leading that's the tab offset number. And I know since the root is 4 inches and this is 3 inches, that leaves 1 inch, and we're going to split that in half, so that's going to be 0.5 inches. So 0.5 inches, and if I hit tab, there it does. It just put the fin shape in there. So now I want to put this into my database, and I'm looking here for the part number. So we're going to go under the general, and I'm going to say that this is a plywood fin. So I'm looking for plywood, aircraft plywood, birch. I don't care the number, the location, the thickness I need to know. Okay, so now I have the material set, and I'm going to go to the database, and now I'm going to put it into the database. So this is going to save it into my personal database. So if you want it in your database, you're going to have to do the same steps that I'm doing here. So this is called Apogee. And the part number, which I just did a copy, And the name of this is stand-up shape plywood. And then just do save to database. And you can see that it copied all that information that I just put in right here. And this is the current database. And then I'm going to click OK. And so by doing that, it just saved it to the database. And if you want to confirm that, go here to the database tab again and then say choose from database. And now we're looking for that fin in the database, and there it is, right there at the top. Plywood Fine. Why does it say fine? Because I named it Fine. Okay, so, but it's in my database. So that was the answer to the question. So hopefully that answered your question. Got a lot of comments going here, so I got to back up here on the screen. Okay, so that was David's question. Johan says we only have lakes below sea level in our area. John Sullivan says I can't recall what NAR section number is for St. Louis Rocketry Association. Lewis says if we tell you, then you also have to come and visit. Okay, book me a plane ticket. Go ahead and bring me over. I'm there. You better make it 2 plane tickets, one for my wife, or she'll get mad if I come. We were in Holland, in the Netherlands, I think it was 2018. We had a great time. You know, my name is Van Milligan, so my ancestry is in the Netherlands. So it was like my great grandfather was the first one that came over in the Van Milligan clan. And I think that was around 1895. And my father was the first native-born American, well, of my family. His oldest brother was actually the first. So my father was first generation, I'm second generation. Jerry Frank says, or Lewis says, high power and Holland doesn't go together. You just need the right launch field. Eventually you'll get there. Jerry Frank says, my computer will not stream today, so my second question is, I am still on RockSim demo. Is that why I only have the option of loading Aerotech motors? And Jerry, the answer is no. You should be able to see all your motors because all the motors are in the database. So I'm going to click OK for that. So say we wanted to load a motor. First we need to have a tube that's specified as the engine mount. So I'm going to put in an inside tube as my engine mount. And I'll make it a 29 millimeter. So I'll just choose that one there. Maybe this one here. This is a thick wall. You can see it put the tube in there and it made it really long. So we'll shorten that up. So I'm going to shorten it up and make it about the right length for a motor tube. I don't know what the right length is, but that looks about long enough. And then I'll move the location back to the bottom of the rocket just by sliding the slider bar right there, as you can see. And then I'm going to change the specified location point. So we're going to say it's located from the base of the owning part. So the owning part is this body tube, and so now we're a negative 0.5 inches from the base right there of the owning part. And by doing that, there's a reason to do that, and that is if you change the length of this tube, that tube will move with it. So that's why we do it. But now we want to check that this is a motor mount. Click on that, and it says we can load 29 millimeter motors. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to save my design, and I'm just going to call it a test rocket. And I'm just going to throw it in my desktop. Test. And click OK. And now go to load motors, and that's this button right here. So this is kind of like the base of the rocket with 2 arrows pointing down to the blast deflector. So that's what that button means, and it's prepare for launch. And so now we hit choose engine. And so Frank was saying that he's not seeing engines. So first thing to look at is the filters here at the top. So under manufacturer filter, make sure it says all. So if you want to see more than just Aerotech, it has to say all. And then that should, so right now I'm just seeing Aerotech, and right now they're listed alphabetically. So Aerotech becomes before Estes, and Estes comes after Cicerone. So C becomes before E. So if I scroll down, okay, so there's the Cicerone list. And if I keep scrolling, there's Estes. And here's Sky Ripper. And that's it. Estes, Cicerone, and Sky Ripper. And I thought there should be Apogee in there too, because we make an F10 for Apogee. There's Apogee. So that's how you make sure you see them. And if you're still not seeing them, it might be because your diameter filter. So you can go to show all engines. So right now I'm only showing the 29 millimeter ones right here in this column. If I do show all engines, I'm going to see everything. So this is the entire database from the 6 millimeter motors all the way up to the 98 and 161 millimeter motors from Cicerone. So hopefully that is what you're seeing. And if you're not seeing that, let's click cancel. Go up here to the file menu, click on file menu, and then come down here to reload engine data. Click on that. And what is showing in RockSim that I just showed you is all the motors here in this column. So if only Aerotech is showing up and everything else, so if I do that, and then move Aerotech over, this would only show Aerotech motors, because this is what I'm telling RockSim that I only want to see, just the Aerotech motors. But I actually want to see all my motors, so then just hit add all. So make sure all of the motors that you want to see are listed in this column right here. And those motors are stored in this data folder, and you can see the path on your computer that will get you that data. So I'm using a Mac, so on my Macintosh I'm in the folder called users, then Tim Van Milligan, then library, then application support, and inside of that is Apogee components, and inside of that is RockSim 1, which means RockSim 10. And then inside of that is a folder called data, and that's where all your motors are stored. So hopefully, Frank, that will get you. This folder is so hidden that it's unlikely that you've changed it by accident. Most people don't change that. They don't get that deep into their computer. Johan says, I think there is one high power launch site in the Netherlands from Tripoli. I think DARE launches sometimes on a military exercise area. Too densely populated here for high power rocketry. I'm looking for questions here. Well, K through J and I did some calculations, and with those fat clusters we get very close to high power. I have one design for that ready, says Johan. Johan says, of course, the max launch altitude of 450 meters is keeping us from that. Yeah, I guess if you're in restricted airspace, that's going to be a problem. Johan says, yay, the Netherlands. Luke says, I got my L1 last month with the Zephyr kit. Yes, Luke, good job. We've been having supply issues, but I believe our Zephyrs are now back in stock. or pretty close. We'll have them as soon as we can. Yes, the Zephyr, it shows we have 4 units left in stock currently, but we are building them as fast as we can. Now we got all of our supplies back in stock. So that is good news, because for a while there, we ran out of shock cord, and then we ran out of nose cones, then we ran out of plywood, but we got it all back in stock again. And we should have plenty to make as many as you want to buy. So if you want to order a lot of them, call us. I'm looking to see if there's any more questions. Jerry says, why does RockSim project significantly higher altitudes for my Zephyr than my Jolly Logic altimeter says I actually achieved? Okay, so the reason for that, Frank, is it's called coefficient of drag. RockSim calculates a number for the coefficient of drag, but it's an estimate, and it's not what could be actually be happening with your particular rocket. So to make a match, so to make RockSim match with what your altitude on your altimeter is showing, is you got to adjust the coefficient of drag. So then it should match pretty close. To do that, there's a tab right here at the top called the coefficient of drag override. And by default, RockSim is calculating it. So if you want to override it, you have to uncheck this little box right here that says calculate CD at simulation time. So what CD is it using? So to find that, go up to the Rocket menu and then go to CD analysis. And if you do that, this shows you, this red line here shows you the coefficient of drag at various velocities. So the coefficient of drag is not a static number, but it changes with velocity. So when you get to the speed of sound, which is Mach 1, let me turn this over here to Mach. So here's Mach 1 where my thumb is, and you can see right at Mach 1 the coefficient of drag shoots really high. But under Mach 1, it's mostly flat, and that's good. So if we put in a value of like Mach 0.5, so like right here in the middle, it tells us the coefficient of drag is 0.324, and it's a dimensionless number, so it doesn't have units. And so that's the number that RockSim is using. And if you want to adjust it, then you have to uncheck here and then put in a new number for your coefficient of drag. So by default, it's using 0.324 or whatever it was. And so if your altimeter is reading higher, then you need to lower the coefficient of drag number. So if it starts out at 0.324, you might want to drop it to 0.3, and then your rocket's going to go higher because it's less drag, because it's more streamlined. And if RockSim is saying it's too low or too high, then you need to go the other way. Then you need to increase the coefficient of drag, and that's going to bring the number down. So you're going to play with that number until you find it. So that's the way that I would do it, because I'm lazy. I would just keep playing with this number until I dialed in. But if you want to actually calculate it, you can do that as well. But it's a little bit more hard, and there's math involved. We have an article that tells you how to do it. So if you go to the Apogee website and you go to How To and Guides menu, and then you come down here to Peak of Flight Newsletter, click on that, and then come all the way across to where it says All Newsletters, click on that, And this will give you a list of all the newsletters that I've ever written, that we've ever produced. And right now we're on issue number 566. But somewhere in these newsletters is an article on calculating the coefficient of drag. And I'm sure you don't want to go through all 566 of them. And even scrolling down through it is pretty laborious. So here's the fast way to do it. So on your keyboard, on your computer, do a Control F, which is find. Control F is find. On a Mac, it's Command F. And when you do that, you'll see that there's a search bar here at the top. And that search is only going to be for this specific page, not anywhere else on the internet like a Google or other search engine. It's only searching the page. So if I type in CD for coefficient of drag, it says how to determine the CD of a parachute. But I don't want the CD of a parachute. I want the CD of a rocket. So I'm going to adjust my search and type in coefficient. And then so now we have 4 matches. We have this one right here, derivation of the parent drag coefficient in number 489. But I don't think that's the one. So then I'm going to go here to these little buttons. Here it is. How to determine the coefficient of drag of your rockets. Peak of Flight, issue number 303. So once you find it, and you just click on it, and it will bring up the newsletter. And this will give you the step-by-step method and the math of determining your coefficient of drag based on your altimeter reading. So you'll back out. This is called backtracking. You're going to back out the coefficient of drag, and then you're going to put that number that you calculate into RockSim right here. So that's how you do it. And then you'll be really close. Oban Pitts says, I'm getting the Estes doorknob model rocket. Woohoo! I hope you're buying it from Apogee, because we sell that one. The Apogee doorknob, or the Estes doorknob. So I need to open up our website again. And then just use the search bar. See, this search bar searches the entire site, but it's a little bit hard. It's looking for products. It's not looking for information. That's why I use this one up here. Doorknob. There's the Estes doorknob, and there it is right there. So if you want to buy it, we do have them. They're here at Apogee. We have more than 10 of them in stock. So we can get that out. Although it's probably going to go out on Monday because we're past our shipping deadline. Jerry says, I was following along with you about the motors, but still nothing. Okay, Jerry, so if you're still not seeing motors, so if you go to File and you go to Reload Engine Data, and you're not seeing motors, are you seeing them on this column? If you're seeing them on this column, you should see them. I don't know what's going on. If both of these are blank, then that tells me there's nothing in your data folder. So then you have to go to this location on your hard drive and look inside to see if these files are located in there, like aerotech.rse. RSE stands for RockSim engine. You can either use RSE or ENG. ENG is an engine data space file. This is the RASP format. The RockSim format stores additional data that the regular RASP format does not. So you need to go to that folder. So to get to it on a Mac, this is kind of a hidden folder. On my Mac, I go to Go, and then I hold down the Option key, and then go to Library, and it shows you my library, and then I'm just going to follow that data path. So Library Application Support. So here's Application Support. Open that up, and then inside Application Support, I'm looking for Apogee Components. So here's Apogee Components, and then RockSim _1. Here's RockSim _1, and then data. So this is where all the engine files are stored. So if they've got to be in this folder to see them. Now on Windows, like I said, this is a little harder to find on Windows, and I'm not on a Windows machine. Otherwise, I'd try to show you. Another thing that you can try is go to your preferences for RockSim, and on the Mac it's under the RockSim menu, and I think on Windows it's either under File or Edit will be Preferences. See, if I here under File there's no preferences, under Edit no, but if you're on Windows it's one of these two. And then if you select preferences, it's going to bring up this screen right here. This is all your preferences, like the units. You know, if you want to display your altitude in meters versus feet or whatever, it's under your preferences. But over here on the very far right is a tab called Miscellaneous. So click on that Miscellaneous tab, and then look for this button right here that says Factory Reset. And when you click on Factory Reset, what's going to happen is you're going to get an error message that says, we're going to reset all your preferences back to what they were originally, the factory conditions. And it's going to wipe out all your other preferences. So if you change your units to feet or meters or whatever, it's going to wipe them out and it's going to revert it back to the factory settings. So that's the downside of doing this. But when you do factory reset, it should point everything into the right folders. So if you somehow, when you go reload engine data and it's not looking at this data path, by going to factory reset, it will reset the path back to the correct location where those engine files are stored. I had to do this for somebody last week. Had to do a factory reset because if you just start randomly typing something there, the next time you go there, it may not be the correct location. So that other user got it all screwed up. And by doing a factory reset, we got it pointed in the right direction so it could find the motors. So give that a try, Frank. Carlos K says, Apogee sells camera hoods. How do we best show these in RockSim? Okay, so Carlos, we're actually out of time, but I do have an answer for you that I can show you. So if you go to the Apogee website and you go to the home page, and you click on the RockSim Live here, or if you go to How To and Guides, and then go down here to Software, and then come over here to RockSim Live Training, click on that, and that will take you to this page. This is all the previous episodes of RockSim Live that we've done. And we've talked about this issue before, is camera hoods. So again, like we did when we were looking on the newsletter page, what we can do here is we can do a find and do a search for camera hood. So I'm going to do a Control F on my keyboard. On the Mac, it's Command F, and it brings up the search bar. And I'm going to type in hood. And it brought up one match, and it says how to add a camera hood to account for the mass and drag of a component. So it is episode number 15. Here's the link, and at 10 minutes and 7 seconds into the video, you will find where we start talking about camera hoods and how to add them into RockSim. So it's loading that YouTube, and it's going to bring up a stupid ad. And we'll cancel out of that, skip ads, and then I'm going to go to 10 minutes. So I'm just grabbing it, and I'm looking down here at the time, and I'm going to go to 10 minutes. And at that point is where I start talking, and I'll walk you through how to add a camera hood into RockSim. And let me see if I can see. There's the camera hood, and see, there's where I started adding the camera hood as a fin. I don't want to give it away. I want you to go look, because we've talked about this. So again, you go to episode 15, you click on the link, and then you just go to 10 minutes into the video, and we talk about how to add the camera hood onto your rocket. Oh, and Carlos says, wonderful, yay! And Johan says, ad blocker. I know what you're talking about, Johan, ad blocker. Yeah, I don't know if that works on YouTube or not. I hope it does. Anyway, so we've come to the end of another episode of RockSim Live, and I thank you for coming. It's so great to see you all here. And I thank you for all the participation. You gave me a lot of good questions, and you put in a lot of comments, and you were talking back and forth with one another. That's awesome. It's encouraged. We, get the Rocketry community talking. That's great. We will be back next Friday, but it probably won't be me because I have to go out of town next week. And Michelle will be back, and she'll fill in for me again. She did it last week as well, and I appreciate what she did. She's a fountain of knowledge. It's so good to have her here. So she'll be back to answer your questions. And like I said at the beginning, we've just released the launch visualizer at RockSim.com. Try it out. While we were talking here, somebody in our chat says, hey, it wasn't working for me. So now I'm going to just double check, make sure it's still working. You may have to clear your browser cache. Because we made all these major changes. Yeah, it's loading. So the launch visualizer is at RockSim.com. You can, there's demo designs right here. There's user designs, stuff that you save. So you can go to the Apogee website, download a design, upload it into the launch visualizer, and run simulations and have a blast. See where your rocket's landing. There's 7 or 8 different rockets here in the launch visualizer as default. And so play with those, but you can always upload as many as you want once you become a member. So thanks for coming. Oh, you didn't see that because I forgot to turn my screen on. That's okay. Sorry. Johan says, and Michelle also messes up less. Yeah, that's true. She messes up less than I do. Okay, so we will be back. We're here to answer your questions. So if you have a question, bring it up, and we'll try to answer it as best as we can. So thanks again for coming, and we'll see you the next time. So I'm going to end this in 3, 2, 1. Go out and launch something.